Kazakh national handcrafts make up the precious roots of steppe culture. They provide an inside look into nomadic lives. The art of the nation who once lived upon the Great Steppe is pictured here through wood and iron processing, jewelry and felting. Many programs modernize the culture of hunting, falconry, horse training and racing. Take a look inside the Kazakh culture on the program KazArt. I liked working with stone better. It has the ability to discipline the master. It's very rigid and hard material, because stone requires giving maximum thought to your ideas before you start sculpting. Obviously, a rash move can destroy the whole piece beyond repair. One's ability to listen to what the rock has to say is very important, as it is seemingly knowing what it wants to be, and it leads your creative process. That requires patience. More often than not, I find myself joking and talking to the rock, however odd it looks from the outside. Kadyrkhan Kakimov is a sculptor. He is an alumni of Surykov's Moscow University of the Academy of Fine Arts in sculpting and the Almaty Fine Art College. He is the author of 90 monumental sculptures across the country. One of the more recognized works is Sultan Baybaris, situated in Altarau, and a special series of street sculptures created for the diplomatic village in Astana.
Туып-өскен жерім Шығыс Қазақстан. Шығыс Қазақстанның Катон жаққа кетіп баратқан жолында
I was born and raised in the east of Kazakhstan. It is a little village of Tayandi on the right flank of the Kalba hill that's between the city and the Katon. However, I spent a lot of time in Kindik. The surrounding nature is fabulous here. I liken it to the Akjetpis in Kokshetau. The mixture of the birch trees and pines and elms along the cliffs make this place unique. It was impossible for a person who grew up observing these wonderful pieces of rock to be someone else but a sculptor. The cliffs gave me ideas since I was a child, and I followed my imagination with them, making up images of brave batirs, shamans and demons. I dreamt of making something, anything, from those rocks. He joined the College of Fine Art in Almaty when he turned 15. A young, ambitious artist worked under the oversight of the legendary sculptor, Vagif Rakhmanov. From the Ministry of Culture, a straight A student, Kadyrkhan received a full scholarship to study at Surykov's Moscow Fine Arts Institute. In the alma mater of all famous major influential artists, Kadyrkhan studied in the Baburin and Tomsky workshop.
Суретші болып қалыптасуға, адам болып қалыптасуға неткен институттан көрі Москваның несі.
The Moscow art scene, its museums, exhibition halls, affected my professional development more than school itself. I became spiritually and artistically a rich person thanks to this exposure. After graduation, I returned to Kazakhstan, to my very own College of Fine Arts, and I taught sculpting for the next 17 years.
Бөліміне сабақ беруге келіп, сонда сабақ бердім.
Маған сол Kadyrkhanның ұнайтын жері бірінші көрмесінен-ақ бастап.
As for my personal preferences, I like Kadyrkhan's works for his uniqueness. You can sense that he loves his country, loves the place where he came from. He incorporated the image of sandstone, which we are so used to from early childhood, into his works. And not in a direct way, but in a subtle, metamorphed way. He used sticks that we bound horses to as a centerpiece in his work. From the horses constantly rubbing against the stick, If polished, it starts shining. Grass blades stick to it. It is never straight. Even if a little is screwed, and this imperfection conveys more about humanity and humility of rural life than anything else. It is worth a lot to feel home away from home. It is worth a lot to feel as if you are home away from home. And he won me over with this.
Сол ауылдың иісін әкеп тұрады да жаңағы жұмыстары. Көптеген көрмелерде солай қатысып жүрді.
Kadyrkhan's works magnetize and stir irregular emotions and thoughts in the spectators. His works have deep roots in the surrounding reality. They convey his own feelings and perception of the world, and his love of Kazakhstan, and the complex relationship that he has with his nation.
Мен училищеге келгенде ол бітіріп атты. Танысып үлгере алмаппыз. Ол 8-ден кейін түскен ғой. Мен оннан кейін.
When I joined the college, he was already a senior. When he was in the 8th grade, I was in the 10th. We just never happened to meet and become friends. After school, I joined the regular army and I lost touch with him completely. When I was accepted at Surikov, he was already an alumni. He had graduated a year earlier. I had no choice but to observe him from afar, still willing to meet him in person. After I finished my studies in Moscow in 1984, I attended his personal exhibition at the Arman movie theater in Almaty, but I missed him again. He wasn't there himself. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, the first Commonwealth that was removed from the state money was the Commonwealth of Artists. We live in a different era now, and these days our trade is experiencing a rise. With the behemoths of art now gone, the new time requires young blood that would be able to understand and convey new ideas. However few, we still had Kazakh sculptors, and Kadyrkhan became the first who created works as monumentous as Sultan Baybaris.
Содан Kadyrkhandардың арқасында көптеген жаңағы бейбарыстың мүсіндері, жаңағы біздің тұлғалардың бейнелерін бірінші болып орындаған осы Kadyrkhanдар.
Kadyrkhan Kakimov has become an ambassador of national values and traditions, as well as philosophy, in sculpture. To create complete and historically correct images of his characters in their natural environments, Kadyrkhan researches archives and historical written sources. Creating a believable image is probably the most important work for an artist. In this piece called The Gates of a Nomad, the spectator can observe a life cycle of human beings entering and leaving this world, and looking into the philosophical well of thought put into it.
Осы қақпадан кім өтпеді, қанша ғасыр, не өтпеді, қандай тарих, қазақтың жақсы несі де күндері жаман.
Everybody enters these gates. Throughout centuries, the Kazakh nations have died and been revived. I wanted these gates to show time as a measure of life. Some pass this test of life gracefully and come out untouched, while others are processed and reduced to dust.
Орынша қалған сондай ретінде бір уақыттың жылжу мерзімі, уақыттың қиындығы, жақсылығы, сондай бір философиялық.
I want to show the fluidity of time, the complexity of life, in both good and bad senses of the word. I avoided using direct images of people, but reserved showing symbolic elements only. Here, one of the doorposts is broken by a pole, which is symbolic of an individual's willpower, smarts and strength, that will ultimately allow him to overcome any obstacles.
Адамның ойы, адамның әгі, несі әгі, мақсаты.
The nature of the nomadic lifestyle, its constant movement, is imbued in sandstone, and their objective is to move the non-stop things just like life. While simple, this image is very impactful. The image of the doorpost is present in Kadyrkhan's other works. A doorpost is an entry point to the whole universe. For a baby or for a new couple, the doorpost is better sturdy and reliable. Working on monumental, massive pieces of art requires a lot of physical energy. Delivering such works can take months and even years. At some point, carving along becomes a challenge in its own. And naturally, all the contenders get sifted away, leaving only those who love working with stone to create massive memorial works. My windows look inside the yard, and I see Kadyrkhan come in, and I hear him work every day. You won't find artists who work in stone alone these days. In the past, Marat Aynikemov and Vagif Rakhmanov and a couple others were in this trade, but not any longer. Only a few carve from stone like Michelangelo. The majority create Play-Doh models and then take them from their molds for bronze casting. Some things, however, are not moldable. For example, the statue of Beberis in Atrau would be completely different if it was molded. The use of rock as a base material was meant to communicate the zeitgeist of the time when Beberis ruled.
Маған көбінесе ұнайтыны не болды? Тарихи недер, мазмұндар.
I prefer working on historical figures and subjects in general. Focusing on the topic while we are a part of the Soviet Union wasn't quite laudable. When we became independent, many historical materials became available. I was impressed with the information being revealed. Information about Beberis especially. Working on his monument would be hard without Moris Simashko's Emshan.
Оған бұлай ырғақ берген Марис Симашконың Емшан деген повесі болды.
Monumental and compositional works take a special place in Kadyrkhan's portfolio, the flagship being the sculptor of the Egyptian ruler and sultan, Beberis. Considered the biggest of all the monumental statues in the country, it was carved from a solid piece of granite and stands 15 meters tall. Observing the massive monument prompts a thought about the master's keen special thinking. Kakimov's other works found home in Taraz. It is called Interrupted Love. It eternalizes the love of two young people who passed away too early to enjoy their common lives. Kadyrkhan deserves being distinguished from others for his love of stone. He is very good at what he does. The work that he did on the statue of Beberis is beyond great, and he has grandfathered high praise. Statues are usually called three-dimensional logos that you can walk around. Similarly, walking around this statue, you can't help but feel how the master looked for the best shape. The shape of this piece is outstanding. The whole piece is brilliant. The results of artistic endeavor must be rich in aesthetic as well as semantical value. Guests and residents of Astana can experience both in the diplomatic village, where the series of great works from granite and metal are presented. You don't get to exercise artistic freedom in your works a lot, but when you can, you receive the piece that can be seen in Astana, embellishing a boulevard in the diplomatic village. Seemingly rigid granite shapes are composed frivolously, an instant joy and musical spirit. The images of the national instrument kobus in particular are present all over. The mystical shapes attract gazes. In Kadyrkhan Kakimov's works, we can see educational value that can potentially touch together these patriotic moods and high morale of the spectator. He only wishes that people and art can come closer together.
Адам жүрген жерге соған
I honestly think that a piece of art should be put where they can be seen by the public. Only a limited amount of people actually visit museums. If only people saw the beauty on the streets, they wouldn't trash the cities. The presence of beauty would stop them. Some would pick up deeper ideas from these pieces. It causes curiosity as to why this is here, and what does it want to say.